Every single day, billions of photographs are taken all around the world. Today, we photograph everything from our kids to our parents to our grandparents to birthdays to coffee to our lunch, our breakfast, our dinner. I don't know what the obsession has become with photographing our food, but it's there. I can't go on Instagram today without looking at someone else's lunch. But there was once a time where taking a photograph was something most people could only dream of. In the early days of photography, it wasn't for families, it wasn't for children, it wasn't even for most adults. It was extremely expensive and complicated, and was mainly reserved for either the top level professional or the extremely wealthy. But then, in February 1900, everything changed. Along came a small cardboard camera costing only $1. Now, sure, it didn't have the sharpest lens, it wasn't beautifully engineered, but it gave ordinary families access to something they'd never had before: the ability to capture memories and save them. This is the story of the Kodak Brownie. Now, to understand why the Brownie changed the photography world, we need to step back into the 19th century. Around 1826, a French inventor by the name of Joseph Nicephore Niepce invented what was widely regarded as the world's first permanent photograph. Now, it was an extraordinary achievement, but the exposure took hours. Not exactly practical for a portrait. But over the decades that followed, photography improved dramatically. The daguerreotype made portraits possible. Wet plate photography produced stunning detail. And dry plates made cameras more practical. But despite all of these advancements, photography still wasn't simple. If you wanted to take a photograph in the late 1800s, you had to carry a portable lab with you everywhere you went. Now we're talking large wooden cameras, large tripod, glass plates, chemicals, dark cloth. Everything was heavy, everything was expensive, and everything, did I say, was heavy. Photography in the late 1800s was not something you did at the family picnic. There was no way to quickly capture a moment and preserve it. For most people, or those who could afford it, the only photographs you would ever see would be professional portraits done in a studio. Photography wasn't a part of everyday life. Well, not yet. But one man believed photography could be different, and his name was George Eastman, the founder and inventor of Kodak. Unlike many inventors of his time, George was not focused on creating more cameras for professionals. His focus was to make photography more accessible and less complex. Throughout the 1880s, Kodak introduced flexible roll film, replacing fragile glass plates and making cameras far easier to use. Then, in 1888, Kodak launched a revolutionary camera that came preloaded with enough film to take 100 photographs. And when the roll was finished, the customer would send the entire camera back to Kodak. Kodak would then develop the film, make the prints, reload the camera, and send the camera and print back to you. And Kodak summed up this idea in one of the most famous advertising slogans ever created: "You press the button, we do the rest." It was a brilliant concept, but it still had one problem. The camera cost $25. Now that's roughly equivalent to several hundred US dollars today, and for many families that was still far too expensive. Eastman then realized something important. If photography was going to belong to everybody, the camera itself had to become drastically cheaper. Then came February 1900, where Kodak released a little box camera called the Brownie, and its price shocked everyone. It was released for just $1. Now, the camera was built from very inexpensive materials, including sturdy cardboard covered in imitation leather. It wasn't designed to impress professionals. It was designed to be affordable, and a roll of film cost just 15 cents. And for another 40 cents, Kodak would develop the film, make the prints, reload the camera, and send it all back to you so you could get back to shooting. You didn't need a darkroom. You didn't need chemicals, you didn't need years of experience. You simply pointed the camera, pressed the shutter, and Kodak handled the rest. But perhaps the smartest part of all this wasn't even the camera. It was the business model behind it. Eastman understood that Kodak didn't need to make huge profits selling cameras. The real money came later. Every single Brownie owner would return to Kodak for processing and more film. The camera was just the beginning of the relationship, and it's a business strategy that companies still use today. Sell a product at a low price and make your profit from the supplies they keep buying to use that product. Now, the Brownie was an immediate success. Hundreds of thousands were sold in a very short time, and over the following years, millions of Brownies would find their way into homes all around the world. Kodak even marketed the Brownie directly to children, encouraging young people to discover photography for themselves. And for the first time in history, ordinary families could preserve their ordinary life. Birthday parties, summer holidays, children playing in the garden, friends laughing together, the little moments that had once disappeared. The Brownie changed photography from just documenting life's biggest occasions to just documenting life. For countless photographers, the Brownie became their first camera, and its influence reached far beyond the family photo albums. The idea that anyone, not just professionals, could create photographs shaped the future of photography. We take billions of photographs every single day. It is estimated that the world now takes around 2.1 trillion photographs every single year. We are able to edit them instantly, share them with the entire world in seconds. It's easy to forget that photography wasn't always this accessible. The idea that anyone could document everyday life didn't begin with a smartphone. In many ways, it began with cameras like the Brownie, a simple cardboard box that costs just $1. Sometimes the world's most important inventions aren't the most advanced. They're the ones that give ordinary people the chance to do something extraordinary. And for just $1, the Kodak Brownie didn't simply change photography, it changed the way humanity remembered itself. G'day guys, thank you guys so much for watching this video. My name is Cooper, and if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and hit that like button. And before you go, let me know down below, what was the first camera you ever took a photo with? Was it an old film camera? Maybe a Brownie? Maybe a smartphone? Maybe a DSLR? Let me know down below. I'd love to read your stories. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again.